Harlequins and Castres Champions Cup final pool game for these two teams was a bit of a controversial one. 36 points to 33 win for the home side. They kind of made hard work of it. And, we already knew Harlequins were going to go through. And actually, I got it wrong in the preview. Castres weren't out. They could have still qualified. But now they are out. So, they'll be pretty disappointed. Castres. It was 5 tries apiece. Came down to a last-minute red zone clock in the red winner from Don Brandt to get it done. But yeah, we'll go through some key events, some stats. You guys can let me know your thoughts on the game. But Harlequins were pretty solid favourites at home. But they didn't do themselves any favours. They conceded a penalty pretty much straight from the kickoff, and then a try to a nice cast line-out move. The hooker went down the wing, so Barlow, within 2 minutes, had them up 8 points to 0. Missed conversions, unfortunately for Castres, was somewhat the story of the day. It could have been a somewhat different game had they managed to get some kicks, but not to be. They got another one through Zegdar on 9 minutes. That one was from a Castres attacking scrum, and it was kind of all from Hugh Jones getting held up in a tackle, becoming a maul, and then it becoming a Castres scrum. So early on, poor decision making and just kind of poor defensive reads from the Harlequins guys were not doing them any favours. So 13 points to 0 lead. That being said, Harlequins are kind of a hard team to write off. They don't mind chasing a game down. Don Brandt got one, and then Hugh Jones got one as well. That was a little bit of a weird one for Jones's try because was it Tommy Allen put through a kick, and then Esterhazen kicked it and tackled the cast guy who didn't fully have the ball in hand, but he just had the ball enough that he was still kind of deemed to be playing the ball. And that try was, I think, fairly awarded 16 points to 12. And I'll credit the officials for getting that one right because it was kind of a tricky decision. And I said before the game that Mike Adamson was prone to a few howlers. Now, the end of the game is maybe not the best look for the officiating team, but I thought that one, on the balance of events, was actually kind of well reffed. So, 16 points to 12, Castres still in front, but Harlequins did manage to go in front with a maul try on 27 minutes. So, it was a bit of a kind of bonkers first half, especially when Cockett puts Castres back in front right before half-time. That one was when Marla had been yellow carded. They immediately punished Harlequins for that with a nice kind of blindside attack, Nikosi with an offload. So 23-22 at half-time. Some penalties kind of kicked amongst that as well. And Quins without Marla for the start of the second half as well. The second half, though, Castres kind of mishandled in their own half, and then the Harlequins were able to get some wide balls, so they managed to go back in front despite having a man down. So I think Castres will be a little bit there's a few things Castres will be kicking themselves for in this game in terms of losing it, and I mean the ref will probably get the blame for the end of it, but sometimes you also need to take your own chances. It's not just the ref that makes mistakes, and Castres were certainly guilty of a few. Mishandling the ball in your own half is never, it's obviously giving a team like Harlequins a chance to punish you, and Don Brandt got that one, so they did. But again, just when you thought you could kind of write them off, it was supposed to be Harlequins and Marcus Smith's trick to be doing the cross kicks. Well, it was Castres who got one. That one was another missed conversion one. But, Castres went a point behind. I think that one was Nikosi's try. And then Castres managed to blow one that seemed like an absolute sure thing where Boddicker stepped Marla, but he dropped it over the line. And they'd kind of blown an overlap of phase before that, but it didn't matter because they still got the try on 61 minutes to indeed put them back in front 33 points to 29. I'm a little bit all over the shop with this one game as well because I watched the first half this morning, New Zealand time. Took my kids out to see my mate, and the kids played together for 3-4 hours, and then I came back home. So I watched this game with about 7 hours between the first half and the second half, which was not ideal. But anyway, the crowd gets into the game with kind of the last few minutes. And it looks like Quins are dead and buried. The refs miss, and I don't normally talk about refs. You guys know me, but they miss a pretty big Quins forward pass. Quins go for a maul. They get advantage. They can't score. They tap it and go. Marcus Smith tries his nice goose step, but they read it really well. They've obviously looked at his video because they saw that one coming. Castres conceded a breakdown penalty, which the commentating team certainly didn't like. I don't think he went in off his feet. Whether he came in at the side, you guys who are referees will kind of have a better judgment of that from mine. But the commentary team certainly didn't like the whole off his feet thing, which is probably pretty fair. And but from that potentially dodgy penalty, Quins are able to tap it, and this time Don Brandt goes over, only for the officiating team to get back further in the game because they go on-field no try, and they want to see if Don Brandt's got it on the line, and they say that he does. I don't know. Again, like, it's hard being an official, and it's one of those ones where you look at it and go, if it's an on-field no try, was it that clear and obvious? I've just watched it and on a small screen, albeit, and it didn't look all that clear and obvious for me that it hit the ground. But again, if it did, then happy days. But I would have thought it's one of those 50-50 calls that if you go on-field try, you give it, and if it's no on-field no try, you don't give it. It was on-field no try, but they did give it. So Quins managed to get it done. So they kind of rode their luck towards the end, but as I said, sometimes as a team, you need to take the ref out of the equation as best you can. So refs make mistakes just like players do. If you're looking at like the tries and conversions, clearly Castres missed several. They got 5 tries and only 1 conversion. So even a slightly better day with the boot and you get a better result there. But yes, anyway. Possession 64-36 to Quins, territory 56-44. So Quins had the better of that. Run meters 290 to 196. But, I mean, Castres had one more clean break, 5-4. Defenders beaten was 21-13 to Quins. But, again, with Castres, penalties conceded 15-10. So, too many. They did manage to keep Esterhazen pretty quiet. They certainly gave him a few carries, did the Quins guys, but he wasn't really getting anywhere. Scott Steele missed a few tackles. He hasn't played for a while. Tommy Allen was back, and he looked all right. He's not playing in the Six Nations this year, which was... I didn't actually know that, but they mentioned it in the commentary that he's opted to kind of stay with his club, which is fair enough. There's a few guys in that Quins side who've played for their teams before in the Six Nations, like Scott Steele, Tommy Allen, Hugh Jones, who won't be playing, so it's a good chance for them to get some game time. Tizard, the lock, makes 10 from 10 tackles. Don Brandt makes 2 clean breaks, 30 metres, and gets 3 tries. That's not a bad shift from him. For Castres, Kafatolu, 16 out of 17 tackles. Barlow, the hooker and captain, a clean break, a try, 31 run meters, 8 from 9 tackles. So, yeah, crazy game. As I mentioned, it's one of those ones where the officials will cop a bit of stick at the end. I should say officials, because I think the TMO owns the final decision. Whether it was right or wrong, you guys will have to let me know whether you saw it hit the line or not on maybe a bigger screen than what I was watching, because I had the kids running around. I was watching it on the laptop instead of the TV. Also, the forward pass is probably on the touch judges. That's kind of what their job is. And then the breakdown one, the ref probably had the best view of that. But yeah, there you go. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Castres are out, and Quins have qualified, and they will be second. They didn't get enough points difference to overhaul Leicester. So second in the pool for Quins. We will see who they face once the rest of the games play out. Anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.